Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. From the decade that is the 2000s, 3 riveting tales of the paranormal emerge from distinct corners of America. Each unfolds against the backdrop of significant emotional stress and change, and within unique settings steeped in intrigue. We will explore an historic riverside hotel in Savannah, a rural home in Virginia, and a tranquil airport locale in Dallas. These stories remind us of the mysteries that continue to pervade our modern lives and leave us asking more questions than we can fathom. Vacation chills. In 2006, David Miller and his wife embarked on a mini vacation to Savannah, Georgia, as summer was nearing its end. They found lodgings at a reputable hotel chain positioned directly on the Savannah River. Their arrival was on Thursday, and they were joined by some Navy friends who had travelled from Virginia to enjoy their company. The group had a pleasant experience exploring Savannah, absorbing tales of the yellow fever outbreak from colonial times which had claimed many settlers. As one might expect from such a historic area, these ventures were laden with ghost stories about the city's buildings. When Saturday night came around, their friends departed a bit early in order to visit their family in central Georgia. David and his wife decided to retire early that night. They then placed their luggage against a wall to facilitate a swift departure in the morning. In the early hours of that morning, David's sleep was disrupted when at precisely 3:12 a.m. he was jolted awake. To his surprise, the bags, previously well organised, were now scattered, as though someone had rifled through them. Assuming his wife had been searching for something during the night, he reorganised the bags and tried to resume his sleep. However, as soon as his head hit the pillow and he pulled up the covers, he experienced the chill of an ice-cold hand running through his hair. Despite having worked in the freezing negative 60-degree temperature of Minnesota, the hand felt even colder. He quickly turned to his wife, suspecting her, but she was facing away from him, far out of reach. In growing alarm, he wondered who could have touched him. Feeling quite unsettled, he hopped out of bed, took a cursory look around the room without his glasses, but saw nothing unusual. Deciding that he was definitely not dreaming, he turned on the desk light and occupied himself browsing the internet, all the while casting wary glances over his shoulder. His wife awoke at around 4 a.m, kissed him, and then went to take a shower. After showering, David mentioned that it was time to leave, sharing his eerie encounter from the preceding hour. His wife's immediate response was that it would explain her own strange experience from the previous night. She told him that she too had woken up at precisely 3:12 a.m, but had instead seen the silhouette of a man moving in the direction of and then entering the bathroom. Being a brave woman, she had attempted to confront the mysterious figure, only to find the bathroom empty upon entry. She had brushed it off as a dream, but now after hearing David's account, she insisted, "It's time to leave," to which David agreed. Walking towards the elevator, David was struck by the red velvet wallpaper in the hotel's hallways, which reminded him of a scene from The Shining. His imagination drifted as he envisioned the boy on his tricycle coming across the 2 deceased girls at the end of the hallway. As they checked out, David informed the night clerk of their strange experiences. In response, they were expelled from and locked out of the hotel with some of their bags still inside. They were only able to retrieve their remaining bags after a man stepped outside for a smoke. Why did the hotel act in such a mysterious manner? Always in a snowstorm. In December 2010, James Freeman and his family made the move from the busy city to the peaceful environment of a quaint rural property on Salt Pond Road in the small town of Troutville, Virginia. This transition occurred right when James' son was set to begin high school. Over the first couple of years in the new home, they experienced a series of unusual happenings. These included mysterious noises, devices spontaneously switching on during the night, and unexplained knocking and bumping. While none of these events were outright menacing, they certainly piqued James' curiosity. His wife and son, however, found their personal encounters to be more disturbing and inexplicable. However, a feeling of peculiarity soon developed, one that they couldn't shake, when they began to notice that these occurrences often took place during snowstorms. Not only this, but they also appeared to be most strongly linked to an upstairs room that served as a spare bedroom and office, a room that would come to be regarded as the apparent epicenter of these uncanny events. On the 18th of December, James and his wife Stacy and their son Gage were home at around 4 in the evening, anticipating a major snowstorm. James had a pile of wood on the front deck that needed to be moved indoors, and Gage donned a hoodie to help his father with the task. In the kitchen, Stacy was occupied with baking Christmas cookies, while James was lacing up his boots in the computer room in preparation. His spot in the office allowed him a view of most of the house, including the suspended walkway connecting the second-floor bedroom to the rest of the house. As James finished lacing up his boots, he caught sight of Gage crossing the walkway towards the bedrooms. He was wearing a black jacket, his hood up, and hands stuffed into his pockets. James assumed his son was retrieving gloves from his room. As James headed for the deck door to join his son outside, the door swung open. Gage, arms full of wood and no gloves in sight, walked him with a red hoodie, coated in fresh snow, pulled over his head. The rest of that evening was filled with debates about selling the house and leaving behind the strange occurrences. In the end, cooler heads prevailed and they chose to stay. However, on a more mysterious note, their small black lab Lily disappeared that day and was never seen again. Apparently, as James was documenting the events involving this hooded figure, he reported hearing a loud slam from downstairs, where his wife was. Just as he was finishing up the story, Stacy rushed upstairs to inform him that she too had heard the door slam while in the kitchen. Upon investigating, she found the front door slightly ajar, a strange occurrence given that this door was seldom used and the deadbolt and regular lock were always secured. She found nothing unusual on the deck or in the surroundings leading up to the tree line. Another unsettling observation was that the guest room door, which they typically kept open, was now closed. These further events prompted James and his family to reconsider whether relocating might have been a more sound decision after all. Eyes on the skies. In 2011, Kelly Colby was navigating a turbulent period in her life. She was grappling with the loss of her stillborn daughter and numerous personal health issues. At the same time, her relationship was disintegrating, adding to the pain that she was experiencing. Kelly was residing in Guatemala, but frequently travelled to Dallas, as her livelihood was primarily rooted in the United States. On one of these trips, Kelly stayed in an extended stay hotel in Dallas, which was located right next to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, with a small pond situated at the rear of the hotel. One night, she ventured out and lay on the grass, seeking solace and mental clarity. She found tranquility in observing the airplanes soaring overhead. As it was night, the air traffic was sparse and the surrounding area was serene and quiet, except for the soft hum of the distant highway. As she lay stargazing, the atmosphere of the night abruptly shifted. The chirping of insects ceased, and the subtle sounds of cars became inaudible. A peculiar silence shrouded the environment. It was at this moment that Kelly witnessed a triangular-shaped object slowly traversing the sky. It seemed only a short distance above her and made no sound. The object did not obstruct the night sky. It was almost transparent except for its edges. Kelly could just make out its silhouette. The mysterious object moved sluggishly in the direction of the airport and then faded from her sight as she could no longer distinguish its outline. Being nearsighted, Kelly inferred that the object must have been relatively close to her to perceive its outer edges with such precision. It was vast, but not so enormous that she couldn't see its overall outline. Whether it soared away or moved elsewhere, she could not determine. For some time after, Kelly remained in the same spot, cautiously entertaining the feeling of certainty over what she had observed, all the while keeping her creeping doubts at bay. Upon regaining her senses, the normal nighttime sounds resumed, and the unnerving silence lifted. However, she was left feeling somewhat shaken. She shared her experience with her husband, who, despite the strange state of their relationship, trusted and believed her account. Kelly had never witnessed anything like this encounter before, and had not shared her story publicly until quite recently. She often pondered whether the distress of a situation had heightened her sensitivity to perceive such an unusual occurrence.